Welcome to Investories, your podcast for real stories, fresh ideas, and deep dives into finance, entrepreneurship, and investments. Good morning, everyone. Do you know what basketball and venture capital have in common? According to today's guest, quite a lot. Jan Korous is an investment manager at Tilia Impact Ventures. He's been helping different founders to scale up their startups, but before that he had been playing basketball professionally, namely 3 clubs, 11 seasons, 242 games. That's incredible. My name is Bogdan Solopenko and I'm here with my co-host Wojciech Marol. Jan, we have to start with the obvious. Why VC over the NBA?
I am short. I cannot jump that high, and I very much enjoyed playing basketball. But around 16, I maybe realized that it's not the career with the most prospects for me. So then it became more focusing on studies, and later on finance, and then later on impact VC. So that's how it kind of came to be.
Really? So you started like around 5?
I started when I was like 6, so I went to the practices of my sister who was also playing basketball, and then from basically 7 years until maybe 19, I was basically playing every day, and it's still like one of my biggest passions. But yeah, it just didn't have the right parameters to do that professionally. So maybe made a wise choice to just go focus on something else. Yeah.
Incredible.
Tilia is Prague-based impact venture capital firm with 40 million euros under management. How does your fund aspires both financially and in terms of impact?
Yeah, so it's actually just to clarify, it's 30 million, so it's not 40. So it's a 30 million AUM, actually maybe a bit more, and how we kind of. I would say maybe the special sauce with Tilia is that we kind of try to combine kind of like this impact. So it's called Tilia Impact Ventures. So what we try to do is kind of combine the financial side and financial returns, let's say, together with the impact side of things. So we are looking for businesses where you can basically have the intention to generate some kind of positive outcome, be it either like environmental or societal, and at the same time generate returns for your investors, which is always, I guess, like the very, very important thing, especially nowadays. So that's kind of how we try to differentiate. That's kind of what we believe in. And
You are primarily backed by institutional investors. What earned you that trust?
Exactly. We're backed by quite some institutional investors. We also have some family offices. Maybe it's good to say that our anchor LP, our anchor investor, is the European Investment Fund. So they actually are kind of anchoring the whole fund. Then we also have investors like Česká spořitelna or Česká spořitelna Foundation, or people like Libor Winkler or Ondřej Bartoš or Jan Barta. So and I think why kind of we have their trust is because they really believe in this mission. What I think is really nice about impact investing, especially impact venture capital, is that it's kind of a vehicle where you can align your own investors with your strategy as a fund, and also with the founders. So you kind of make sure that you're kind of all on the same page in terms of what you want to achieve with the capital that you've been kind of entrusted with. So,
How do you differentiate between true impact and just good storytelling?
I would say with numbers is the main thing. There's like this term of like greenwashing or impact washing, where someone says, "Oh, we're doing something really well and green," but if you just look under the numbers and you try to analyze it a little bit, you just figure out that at best it's like incremental. What's happening? We're really trying to go for like these, let's say, like systemic solutions. So then you really see like impact that is like really of big magnitude, and we just try to use very analytical approach of being able to quantify what is happening, gather evidence from either base it on some like scientific literature that supports that doing this will lead to this type of impact, and then we like try to basically build like a logical value chain. Like if we do this activity, this is the output of that activity. It will lead to this change in the society, and it should maybe improve this kind of metric by this many % if we succeed in like scaling this type of company. So we try to be really rigorous, so no one can say these guys are just pulling some numbers out of a head. Yeah.
Is there a huge difference between, for example, US and Central Eastern Europe, which is where you are specialized in?
You mean in terms of impact investing, or?
Yeah, both in storytelling and impact investing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people usually say that like Europeans, and especially Central and Eastern Europeans, are a bit more like focusing on the matter instead of the form. So, I think we have some like amazing people here, really skilled in different areas, but we're not really good at selling it. And yeah, in the US, it seems like that's like a essential skill to be able to tell a story, to sell yourself, to market something. So definitely a big difference, yeah.
And also, I would like to ask you, did you notice some significant obstacles or advantages in Central and Eastern market of startup that founders face most of the time?
Again, do you mean specifically for like impact space?
In this space.
I think, and maybe it's also something that we face, is that there's not so much knowledge or like awareness of this kind of type of investing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think especially in the early years of Tilia, which was founded in 2018, there was a lot of like maybe, how to say, like conflicting opinions or views what this impact investing entails. And so yeah, for instance, investors, they thought it was more of like a ESG type of, maybe we're going to talk about it a bit later, but it's like a ESG type of thing where maybe it has some like, kind of a charity type of element to it, which I would not say that's the case. And also if you were like a person who wanted to build a new company in climate, there's still not so much knowledge about this type of like source of financing. So I think it was, and I think it's still really hard to find the right type of investors for these types of projects. If you're building in climate or in healthcare, I think it's getting much better. Like it's rapidly growing, but I think the big challenge was just that there was not a lot in the until recently. So I would say that's the big challenge.
And one of your portfolio company is Let's Data. It is interesting startup, Ukrainian startup that focuses on gathering like dozens of messages, websites, information, chats to analyze informational attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please elaborate more for listeners who haven't heard about this project, and what are the achievements already reached?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a super good example, like a good company to talk about, because we're really proud that we can back these types of companies. As you said, it's a Ukrainian team, two super young but like super ambitious and like very, very smart people from Ukraine, who one of them worked as an engineering manager at Grammarly, and the second founder was working in the information space previously. And basically when the war in Ukraine started, they, at like age of, I think around 24, 23, they dropped what they were doing, and they were like, okay, now we're going to use our skills to do something we think we need to do. And they built out this basically like machine learning platform, or like a very sophisticated platform that can go on places like Telegram or Facebook, or even like just normal news sources, and just looking at the patterns in the data, identify if there's something happening that's like out of the ordinary, some kind of synthetic attacks. Because quite often if you before you have a standard attack, you have some kind of like cybernetic or like informational attack first. And actually this is like probably one of the biggest risks we see that for going forward is like this kind of informational space and how people are really vulnerable to it. So Let's Data, I think they're doing something amazing by helping like governments and companies kind of identify, okay, there's someone is like attacking us with like, disinformation or some synthetic identities, and they can identify it, and then they can actively like resolve it. For instance, debunking these kind of like fake news or disinformations, because the key thing is doing this as quickly as possible so that you prevent some of the panic and other effects. So that's really great for us. We're also happy to back a company from Ukraine, and we're happy that it's like kind of doing something that we really believe is huge, like a huge challenge going forward.
Okay.
We are seeing overlapping crises, geopolitical, environmental, social. Where do you think venture capital can help the most nowadays?
Yeah, I think exactly. Everyone kind of knows that it's like a really dynamic time nowadays in all kinds of different areas. And maybe one more thing I would add to it is it's always good to keep in mind that we are kind of in this middle of, I would say, like AI revolution. We had different types of revolution in the past. So we have this very, I would say, dynamic situation globally, and then we have this new thing that can change basically how anyone from like young students to like, anyone else can kind of lead their lives. And I think that it has a lot of like potential to address some of these like big challenges that we're seeing nowadays, increase our productivity significantly. But also like this kind of AI revolution has a lot of potential drawbacks. So I think from like the point of view of an investor, it's like a very interesting moment because, who knows how the world is going to look like in 5 to 10 years. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I cannot imagine how it's going to be in relatively short time.
Absolutely. And do you believe that EdTech is one of such industry that can bring enormous societal impact and at the same time have strong financial returns?
Yeah, for sure. So, in education, there's, for instance, this one like thesis or like a problem that was stated, I don't know, like 40 years ago, which basically said that we can have much better better learning outcomes. Everyone can learn really good, but then basically what you would need is to move from like this classroom setting where you have like 30 students who are all kind of listening to someone speak, and then there's some level of engagement. If you can just provide them with like one-on-one tutoring where we can focus on you grasping the concepts, and you can really like see that the learning outcomes are like better by 2 standard deviations. So it's called the 2 sigma problem. And now with AI emerging, it's like a super nice time if you're like someone who wants to build like educational startup. I think you can build products that are kind of relatively easy to build, and at the same time they provide like really highly personalized learning experiences. You can kind of, due to the conversational nature of AI, you can also like converse with someone, so you can build out like this human level of tutoring experience with just basically kind of like over exaggerating, but like at the cost of compute. So like you can do like really amazing things with that. And I think we're even seeing like from our region, we see like a lot of really cool companies who are doing this and like growing really well. So super excited to see how this, develops. Yeah.
We have already mentioned the 2 sigma problem. Do you see probably in your pipeline some companies which are able to crack the scale?
Yeah, so actually the ones that we have seen recently, we haven't so far invested, but I think they're really awesome, so it'd be good to mention them. So there is, for instance, a Serbian company called Prepia, which recently raised some financing, and they're doing an amazing job where basically you have a lot of people who are, for instance, training to become nurses. And historically, what you would do is you would buy these like textbooks or some like courses where you go and you pay a lot of money to be able to prepare for these exams, and then you become a nurse. While now with AI, like implementing different types of AI features, you basically can download the app from Prepia, and you can have a highly personalized learning experience, and you basically don't have to spend so much money on this type of exam, and at the same time you get a really high basically like learning experience. So I think that's really cool. And then there's also companies like there's a couple more. One is called Stimi AI. It's from Poland. They focus on math, so they're helping students basically understand mathematical problems, and also then the AI can help you like kind of understand how you should think about it, and it kind of leads you through the thing. And one more company would be, I'm forgetting the name, Astra AI.
Okay.
It's basically a similar concept, but from Slovenia. And what's nice is that all these companies, because there's a lot of interest in such apps, I think they're all doing like, they're in a quite exciting phases. So we're definitely curious to see where they take it, and if there's more companies like that from our region. Yeah.
We already saw that you invested in The Village, the startup, which is kind of focusing on micro schools.
Yeah.
Why not pure AR learning platform?
So I think they do definitely have the ambition to go within the AI path, but it was not their first starting point. So they more focused on basically, or they still are focusing on, they call it the early childhood education and care, which is this age of 2 to 5, because you know that especially in countries like Czechia and like in the Eastern Europe, there's quite often like a lack of solutions, like basically pre-kindergartens where you can place your kids in those ages. And also then quite often the moms stay at home for a very long time, you know, like one or 2 years, and it gets really hard to reintegrate back into the labor market. So what Village is one of our like earlier investments. What they do is they help moms basically become like mom entrepreneurs and open up their own like micro schools at their home and bring other parents in, and this allows them to kind of be like entrepreneurs, spend time with their children, and like kind of make sure that the education these kids are getting in those early age is good, because like most of your brain development happens until you're 5. So I think it's a super good mission, and definitely they have like the ambition later on also to kind of, you know, they see the space for AI driving like personalized learning for the kids, and that's kind of exciting, but it's not the main focus, let's say, at this stage.
Do you think that one of your startup will eventually break into public education?
That would be amazing. We together, especially with my colleague Silke, we are always looking on startups in this public sector, because the thing with private education is also sometimes, you know, who can afford it, people who are aware that good education is important, and it's like our dream would be to have something in the public sector, but it's been really hard to find the right companies, because it's hard to scale these if you're starting in Europe. So I would say maybe a better starting point is like public sector in the US, because it's a bit more homogeneous. Mm-hmm. But here in Europe, if you're starting in, I don't know, Estonia, and then you want to scale across Europe, like you have to go market by market. There's different languages, different curriculum, different like budget holders. So we see quite often companies that do really well in one country, but they haven't really cracked yet how to move to other markets. So that's something, but we really hope we will find something in the future. Yeah.
Are there any red flags which you immediately avoid?
Specifically in education?
In EdTech, yeah.
I cannot think now of like a single red flag specific for education. I mean, there's like the classical ones, but that's more just general like business. Like that applies for all businesses, I guess. Yeah, not specific to education.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I would like to touch the AI topic once more. You've invested in Shen AI, which is healthcare program that kind of scans your face and provides you with the more than 30 indicators of your well-being, like heartbeat, blood pressure. Could you explain more about this concept, and do you see that it can grow much bigger and change the approach in healthcare of the current one that we have?
Yeah, sure. So Shen AI is one of our Polish investments. I think we did the seed round back in last summer, actually. So it's been about a year. And like healthcare for us is like a super, like it's a huge topic, but there's also like very obvious pain points and like really structural pain points all across the world. I mean, like one of the things that we're seeing is that there's just like a really aging population all over the place. I think I read somewhere that like the age group of 80 plus is going to double by 2100. So it's like people are getting older. The older you get, you also get like more chronic diseases. So you need to treat that more often, and it's really costly. So people are getting older, and also like doctors are getting older. So it means that there's like less doctors and nurses.
Everyone is getting older.
Everyone's getting, it's the way of life. Everyone's getting older. And it just means that like, I mean, talking to my friends here in Czechia, like they're under like doctor friends, they're under so much, pressure to just kind of work really hard and like really long hours and huge stress. And there's always, there's always work to do. And like, so that's like one thing. There's just like the system seems to be cracking under a lot of different weight that's been put under it. And then also like, I would say a big topic for us at Tilia is also like access to healthcare. So like there's places where it's really costly. If you, for instance, need some special treatment, or if you're in like some countries like the US, I mean, the cost of healthcare is super high. And yeah, so that's for us like one of the key things we are looking for is like how we can allow people to have access to healthcare. And then Shen AI is like a perfect example for that, because as you said, they just using your smartphone, you can kind of measure all kinds of things, which maybe seems like it seems kind of almost too good to be true. But just with even an older smartphone, you can basically see how your blood is pulsating under your skin, and based on that, you can see things like heart rate or blood pressure. Actually, you can also measure that. So this is like super nice, because if you're somewhere in very remote parts of Africa, you might not have a doctor there, but I'm betting that there will be a smartphone laying around. So for us, this is like an ultimate distribution, like a hack, let's say, because if you can just utilize what's already out there, you can make sure that people have access to healthcare all over the world. So for us, this was like, okay, this sounds super good. Like if they manage to scale this up and they seem to be doing like quite well, then this could like kind of fundamentally change the way that like healthcare is delivered, and like make sure that people who didn't have access to doctors before now do. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, frankly speaking, 1 week ago I went through all the registration in Shen AI, and I was like, okay, I need to try it. I scanned my face, and it really provided a lot of like indicators about my health. And then I took the real like blood pressure monitor, and I compared. Like the deviation was around 5%, and I was so stunned that this like scan can go through your muscle movements, like blood pumping on your veins, and it can like establish such a precise result.
Okay. And Bohdan, are you hypertensive?
No,
Hypotensive?
I'm okay.
You're just normal tensive. Okay.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm not old enough.
Okay. But you have a blood pressure monitor at home, or how?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Nice.
Just in case.
Yeah. I mean, this is really interesting what you said about the 5% deviation, because also in healthcare, it's not a place where you can afford to make mistakes. If you're playing with people's life, like you cannot tell someone who is hypertensive you have a normal blood pressure, because then the consequences are super high. So like definitely one of the big topics for them is like getting the accuracy as high as possible, so that it's comparable to like a blood pressure monitor, for instance. And you need to go through like really rigorous clinical trials and then medical certification. So like this is for them always like a big question and big challenge. And yeah,
absolutely,
figure it out.
And despite all the advantages we mentioned before, when people see that healthcare information is taken by scanning their face, they always have question like, is my privacy safe enough? And from your perspective, how Shen AI addresses this concern when presenting their product to medical professionals or patients?
Did you feel that your information was safe when you were scanning your face, or is there like, are you afraid that there's like now Bohdan's face floating in the internet?
I have no clue. I went through the registration process. They like required some basic information about me. So I'm asking you.
Okay. Yeah. So like one part is that all of the computation that's happening within the app is actually on edge, so it's happening on the device. There's no interaction with like outside, with like a cloud. It's all on the device. So that's like one of the reasons is also because, you want to keep your data yourself. That's one thing. And the second is, if they want to be selling this product to healthcare providers, you need to be compliant with a bunch of different regulations. It might seem if you're building a company, okay, why do I have to deal with all of this? But anything from GDPR to like ISO standards, and especially if you want to become a medical device, which is where they're heading, then this is like there are some very strict rules that you have to follow. So I would say that's I personally don't worry about it because I know it's happening on the edge, and second of all because I know that you would not be able to sell this if you didn't have a good system around, like good governance around your data. So
okay, that's interesting. Also, a lot of people are talking about AI diagnostics, like X-ray checks, cancer checks, chatbots, secondary opinion, and I'm truly curious what tools you see that could be used massively in a usual hospital in Prague, or if there are already some you could share with us.
I think the big one that is like taking off is like AI scribes. So basically, doctors, they need to do a lot of documentation all the time with intake, with discharge, just a lot of basically I would say inefficiencies, because as a doctor, I guess you want to just focus on your patients instead of writing stuff up. So then any kind of note takers, it has like a really clear business case, and it's like one of the places in healthcare where this I would say there's a lot of interesting companies popping up. One kind of related, like one actually coming from Czech. It's a company called Upheal, and they focus on specifically on psychologists. So they're helping them take notes during the actual sessions. I think that's a really great use case. But at the same time, I'm personally a bit still skeptical about what we're going to see in like Czech hospitals, because it just seems, we're still running on like legacy systems from like, I don't know, every time I go to a doctor, I see like this blue screen, and the doctor just like working this blue screen, and then he starts printing something that takes like 2 minutes. So I just feel like the ability of the Czech healthcare system to like adopt innovations is not super high at the moment. So I think it's a big challenge to sell to like hospitals some new technological products in Czech.
It will take some time.
Yeah.
Okay, probably we could move on to opportunities at Tilia. I think, Wojciech, you had a question on this one.
Most of our listeners are young students. How would you start your career once over in, for example, Tilia or other funds?
So for me it's a bit difficult, because I for instance, I really admire people who already during, when they're young, they kind of know what they want to do. That was not the case with me. As Bogdan was saying, I thought I was going to play in the NBA, but that didn't work out. And for me, it's always been kind of iterative process of finding what I want to do. So, went from, business to finance, then did basically my first job was within M&A, and then I kind of rotated into impact VC. So I would maybe say I would kind of like slowly, iteratively found the right path for me. But if you have listeners who, for instance, right now feel like this would be very interesting for them, then I think the best thing is to just try to, first of all, they can always reach out to me. So if there's anyone from your listeners who just wants to talk about it, I'm happy to do it. They can reach out on LinkedIn or whatever. But I would just say like getting any kind of like experience in like areas that could be relevant. So it could be, you can come from like a financial background, so you can try to get experience there and then go into VC from there, or you can get some like on the ground experience from a startup or something like that. I think that can be quite useful. Or just come in with like more like a technological approach of being able to, understand the technological details of the cases. I think those are like the 3 things that, if you have one of those three, I think it's a good starting point. Yeah.
For the listeners, are any positions open now
Uh,
at Tilia?
not at the moment. But we're always like, you know, we always have like regular internships. So if someone comes in, we can always have a cup of coffee and talk about it and see maybe, you know, if the next one that opens up would be a potential fit. So we're just looking for like young people who are really ambitious, who are really curious. And if that's the case, then I mean, why wouldn't we want to work with you, right? It's great.
And how do you grow your career over time in VC?
Well,
From the intern to the investment manager.
Yeah, not there yet. We'll see how that goes. No, I'm just joking, but I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I just believe that if you are like hardworking and people can trust that, you know, hey, I gave him this task and he like delivered and like it's always good and this person obviously like can like deliver and I can trust him, that's a big thing. So with us, if you come as an intern and we see that you're like, you know, doing great job and you're really curious about what you do, then we're happy to like basically give you as much as responsibility as you're willing to take on, because to be honest, if you're in like a venture capital fund, it's a small team. There's unlimited things you can do. So if you're willing to work and do a lot, then we will always have something to share with you. So that's what I would say. Just keep delivering.
Yeah, that's super nice. And do you feel that sometimes traits or hard skills are much more important than working experience in venture capital?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent you can get by with just like skills or your personality or your intellect. But yeah, to be completely like honest, I also think that people who have some unique experience, who've gone through something, like you cannot really substitute it. So for instance, in our fund we have Silke Horáková from Albatros, who've been in private equity for many years, and you know that is just like such a huge asset for us, because the experience she brings and also kind of like a business intuition, it's just unbelievable. And yeah, I'm also like happy to be learning from people like that, because yeah, it's quite unique to have that type of experience. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Should we finish with lightning round? It is quick answers, no overthinking. All the questions were submitted by our colleagues from the Investors Club.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
So do impact investments always mean lower returns?
No. Maybe that's a great one. Let me emphasize, no, that's not the case. We look for companies where the impact potential goes hand in hand with financial returns. We're not compromising on the financial side of things. We're looking for businesses that are scalable, that can have huge outcomes for our own investors, and at the same time they bring this positive change. So
what's like your average IRR or?
We don't aim specifically for IRR. We more will look at the overall multiple over the fund. And I mean, I can say where we hope it's gonna be, but I would maybe not disclose
or
it.
aim.
Yeah, I mean, looking at data from Europe, I would say if you get like a 2 to 3, x return on their fund. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great, to be honest. Yeah.
In 5 years.
So the fund is 10 years.
10 years.
So
okay.
10 plus potentially 2 more years. So it's a 12-year fund. I think like a 3x return over that period of time. I would consider it a success, because it would allow us to then go out and raise a third fund and keep growing the ambition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, military industry is booming. Has Tilia ever been tempted to go there?
A little bit, I would say, but in the end, we know it's not our space to play. So again, like coming back to Let's Data, this is for us a great use case, because it is tangential, like adjacent to the let's say the defense space, but it's not you're not producing like lethal weapons or lethal rockets or something like that. You're actually just fighting some like disinformation, and it's more software based. But at the same time, we recognize that, you know, like defense in Europe right now is super important. And I was in Tallinn in May of this year, and there I would say the whole kind of impact investing space shifted into defense and dual use. And I mean, fair enough, you're on the borders with
they feel the
Russia,
pressure.
so yes, yeah.
Are there enough socially minded investors in Czechia?
Yes. I think I think they're like individuals and like institutional investors for sure, and it's great to see. And I think there's more and more from the point of view of like funds that would be doing something similar to us. I would say it's still kind of there are some funds for sure, but like it's still not like as competitive, I don't know, as like a B2B SaaS investor or something like that, or AI investors. So.
While screening startups, do you mostly rely on data or gut feeling?
Do I have to choose, or can I choose? I think it comes down to gut feeling, because just in this early stage, there's not so much data.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes there is, then we use it. If it's not there, you gotta use your gut feeling.
Okay.
If you could choose only one unicorn which you could back or invest in it, which one would it be, from past or potential from the future?
From the impact space, or
yeah.
Okay. That is a great question. I'm kind of tempted to say like Tesla because of how big they went, but I mean, probably not, because I just don't agree with some of the opinions of Elon. That is a really difficult question, but maybe one like really cool startup is a French-based Doctolib. It's actually one of the biggest unicorns from France, and what they do is they're actually succeeding in like tackling this healthcare space by where they like digitize communication between patients and clinicians, and they're growing really great in other markets. So they've been actually able to scale quite well. So that's a really cool company.
While pitching, which song you would choose? Jazz, heavy metal, or Disney classics?
While pitching?
Yeah.
Jazz. What was
heavy metal or Disney classics?
I think jazz. I mean, just because if you're, that's a great one. Like if you're a startup founder, I think like it's such a crazy, you know, journey you're on that it's probably similar to how jazz music sounds like.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jan, for coming. It was a pleasure, and thank you for sharing such insights about the industry, the impact investing, the healthcare, and for sure the AI sector. That was a real pleasure for us. And for our listeners who would like to connect with Jan, please find him on LinkedIn. We'll also add the link below, and you can learn also more about Tilia Impact Ventures on their website, which is tilia.vc. Thank you for listening to Investories. Don't forget to follow the show, leave us a quick review, and share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. We recorded this one at Pracovna, and we'll be back soon with more. See you next time!